What if you vanish from your business for 7 days? Not a carefully planned vacation, a real interruption. You come back, open your laptop, and there are unanswered leads, a half-finished launch, customer questions, and a product link you aren't even sure still works. Here's the thing. If the business only works when you're constantly present, you do not have leverage yet. You have a fragile routine. And that can be hard to notice when the week is going well. You're publishing, replying, delivering, fixing little things. It feels like momentum. Then one missed day becomes three becomes seven, and suddenly restarting feels harder than quitting. You're not necessarily lazy. You may simply be missing a clear starting point. It's good to have you here. Let me ask you something. Could your business pause without collapsing? And could you return without reconstructing the whole thing from memory? That's the question we're going to work to today. Not how to create a perfect business that runs without you. That's a fantasy. How do you make the important parts visible, recoverable, and small enough to restart on an ordinary human day? I call that a restartable business. It still needs your judgment, it still needs customer care, it still needs good work, but an interruption does not erase your understanding of what matters next. We use 3 ideas. Protect the smallest motion that creates value, leave yourself a clear trail back in, and automate the repetitive handoffs that make returning harder. No giant software stack. No heroic 7-day catch-up plan. Let's make this concrete with a simple example. Imagine Maya runs a small website about practical analytics for independent businesses. She sells a $39 spreadsheet template and occasionally helps clients set it up. On a normal week, her work looks busy. Research, articles, email, customer support, improvements to the template, and ideas for a course she may build someday. Now Maya loses a week. When she returns, she has 23 messages, 4 unfinished drafts, and a list of tasks marked urgent. The temptation is to catch up on everything. That is usually the wrong first move. Start by asking, what is the smallest loop that keeps this business alive? For Maya, the loop might be very simple. A useful search article brings attention. A clear product page turns that attention into a possible purchase. Checkout delivers the template. A short follow-up helps the buyer use it. Attention, value, revenue, or a stronger relationship. That is the loop. Not every folder, meeting, draft, or future idea attached to the business. Think about that for a moment. If you had only 3 hours this week, which part would protect the business most? For Maya, it might be checking that the template can still be purchased and delivered, answering qualified buyer questions, and keeping one high-intent article accurate. The new logo can wait. The elaborate course outline can wait. Another dashboard can definitely wait. This is where many builders accidentally protect activity instead of progress. We protect the work that is loud, visible, or easy to add to a list. But a core loop is quieter. It asks what brings someone in, what useful result they receive, and what connects that result to income or trust. Write those 3 steps in plain language. If you need 12 arrows, you have mapped the whole business. Try again. Once you know what must keep moving, you need to make coming back easier. Because the first morning after an interruption is often the real problem. You open the laptop, the inbox is crowded. Every task seems important. You spend 40 minutes trying to remember what you were doing, and then you need a break from trying to remember. That's the trap. Give your returning self 1 page. At the top, write the current status in a sentence or 2. What is running, what is paused, and what changed while you were away. Then list real commitments. A promised client response belongs there. Every interesting idea does not. Next, write 1 physical action. Reply to the 3 qualified inquiries. Test the product download, or review the article scheduled for Thursday. And then make a postpone list. Deliberately postpone is not the same as forgotten. You're telling yourself, this matters, but it does not belong in the first hour back. For Maya, that list might include polishing an old article, planning a bonus module, and comparing 3 email platforms. Useful work, maybe. First work, no, so her page answers 4 questions. Where am I? What must not be dropped? What is the next useful move? And what can wait? That's enough. Keep it in a document, a project board, or a plain text file. The tool is not the system. The visible decision is the system. Before you close a work session, leave the next action. If there's a decision your future self might question, leave one sentence about why you made it. There is one important boundary. Restartable does not mean careless. If you promise a customer a response within 2 business days, decide in advance what happens when you cannot meet that promise. An intake form might set expectations. A status message might explain a delay. A trusted collaborator might receive an alert. The goal is not to automate an excuse. It's to prevent customers from sitting in uncertainty while you try to rebuild context. Now look for the part that keeps making you reconstruct the past. That is where automation earns its place. Maybe a form gathers the details needed for a client inquiry. Maybe an AI tool summarizes new requests and points out missing information. Maybe approved content waits in a queue. Maybe a weekly view shows traffic, sales, open commitments, and the next action in one place. But automate the handoff, not the judgment. Reminders, summaries, notifications, and routing are good starting points. Customer promises, quality checks, exceptions, and sensitive decisions stay with the human. An automated reminder that's a little awkward is fixable. An automated answer that confidently promises the wrong thing is a new problem wearing a convenient costume. For Maya, a form can collect a buyer's question, an AI assistant can summarize it, and a reminder can bring it back to her attention. But Maya still decides the answer. Her system removes the scavenger hunt. It does not pretend to be the business owner. That's the distinction. Use tools to make the next decision easier, not to avoid making every decision. And if this sounds like another productivity system, that's a fair objection. Most systems become burdens because they document everything and clarify nothing. Keep the first version almost embarrassingly small. One core loop, one restart page, and one measurable weekly outcome. If you end up with a 12-step diagram, you went too far. You can build that first version in 30 minutes. For 10 minutes, write the loop in 3 lines. What brings attention, what value gets delivered, and what creates revenue or a stronger relationship. For 10 minutes, make the return page. Current status, urgent commitments, next action, postponed work. For the final 10, find one step you currently have to remember and support it with a reminder, template, form, summary, or simple automation. When the timer ends, you should have 1 sentence for the loop, 4 short sections for the restart page, and 1 improved handoff. That's the finish line. Not a new operating system, not a perfect map. Then test it during a normal week. Can you understand what matters in 5 minutes? Can you restart without opening 6 different applications? Could someone else follow the handoff if they had to? Let's connect the dots. First, protect the small motion that creates value. Second, leave a clear trail back to the work. Third, remove the repetitive memory work while keeping judgment human. That combination helps a website, a digital product, a client service, or a small online business survive an imperfect week without turning the next week into a panic exercise. The goal is not to work less by wishful thinking. The goal is to make progress easier to resume, measure, and improve. Energy changes. Responsibilities change. A durable business makes room for that. It gives you enough structure to know what matters and enough flexibility to continue in a smaller mode when the full version of you is unavailable. If this was useful, subscribe to the show. I'm building these episodes around practical systems for creators, builders, and solopreneurs who want businesses that fit real life. Before we move on, write down one question. What is the first process in your business that you could pause and restart without panic? Start there. Make it visible. Make it smaller. Remove one piece of memory work. Well, that's enough to think about for today. Appreciate you spending a few minutes with me. I'll catch you in the next one.